Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere Akwath, and Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now, this lesson is going to be an Iran war update. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts. Lord's will, you're edified. It says, Iran war latest. Netanyahu to speak to Trump as UAE reports drone strike on nuclear facility. It says, Donald Trump has warned of the calm before the storm in a post on Truth Social. It comes as reports suggest the U.S. and Israel are undergoing the most intense preparations for renewed attacks against Iran since the ceasefire was agreed last month. So, yeah. It says Trump post AI image warning of calm before the storm. It says as U.S. President says Iran will have bad time if no deal agreed. It says Lebanese economy minister reveals cost of Israeli attacks. Israel accuses Hezbollah of launching hostile aircraft near troops. Fire at Abu Dhabi nuclear plant caused by drone strikes. So there's still a lot going on out there. It says authorities in Abu Dhabi have responded to a fire at an electrical generator outside the Baraka nuclear power plant caused by a drone strike. The Abu Dhabi media office has said no injuries have been reported and there is no impact on radiological safety levels. The Federal Authority for Nuclear Regulation confirmed that the fire did not affect the safety of the power plant or the readiness of its essential systems and that all units are operating as normal. Says the UK is deploying the new system in the Middle East to defend UK citizens and partners in the Middle East from drone attacks, the Ministry of Defense has said. The Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System will be fitted to RAF Typhoon fighter jets to enable them to destroy targets precisely. The APKWS cost a fraction of the price of missiles currently being used. Minister for Defense Readiness and Industry, Luke Pollard, MP, said, this has been a superb effort working with industry to test and deploy this system in a matter of months, which will help the RAF shoot down many more drones at a much lower cost. Said our Typhoon fleet is the backbone of UK and NATO air defense, with the RAF protecting Europeans' eastern flank from Russian drone incursions and defending our partners across the Middle East. Says Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said he is expecting to speak to Donald Trump today. He said he will hear about Trump's recent visit to China while suggesting they will also discuss Iran. It comes after Trump posted an AI-generated picture on Truth Social warning of the calm before the storm. So yesterday, the New York Times reported that the U.S. and Israel are undergoing the most intense preparations for renewed attacks against Iran since the ceasefire was agreed last month. Two Middle East officials said the two countries are seeking to be ready as early as next week. Meanwhile, Israel's Channel 12 reported the country is preparing for the imminent renewal of the war against Iran. It says Brazil's president has been speaking about his recent meeting with Donald Trump at the White House earlier this month. Lula da Silva told reporters he handed Trump a copy of the 2010 nuclear agreement that Brazil and Turkey negotiated with Iran. He added that Trump said he would read the copy of the agreement, which was rejected by the US and the European Union at the time. Under the agreement, Iran was to send more than 1,200 kilograms of its enriched uranium across the border to Turkey. That was in exchange for around 125 grams of uranium enriched to 20% for use in their low wattage Tehran research reactor. Analysts describe it as being very similar to a deal that was offered to Tehran a year earlier but was rejected then. In talks with his Brazilian counterpart earlier this week, Iran's foreign minister praised the efforts of Brazil and Turkey in support of the 2010 agreement. Trump said Iran hasn't interested in reaching an agreement on ending the war and warned if they don't, they're going to have a very bad time. And this just proves that there is never going to be peace over there. Like it's always going to be something, even with, so-called peace talks and ceasefires. Things are still popping off over there. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And jump down to verse 8. Slakia. This is a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And we're clearly in a time of war. That's why these ceasefires and these peace talks always fail, because we're not in a time of peace. There was supposed to be a ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon, but Israel just keeps attacking them and bombing them. So there really is never going to be peace out there in the quote-unquote Middle East until the Lord returns and basically brings down these Edomites, because Trump is an Edomite and Netanyahu is an Edomite, and you see that they are hell-bent on attacking these brown, these countries with brown-skinned people in them. These Edomites, they're just violent people. They're violent, colonizing people. And the Lord has to remove them. And he's going to do that through war. Exodus 15:3. The Lord Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name. And that's why these ceasefires and these peace talks never work, because the Lord wants there to be war, because this is one of the many ways in which he's going to bring judgment upon these wicked nations, is through violence. And ultimately, this is how he's going to bring down these Edomites, these so-called self-proclaimed white people, because these Edomites came into power through violence and war, and the Lord is going to take them out of power the same way. Like, we are really at that time. And a lot of people don't even know it. Luke 12:51. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth? I tell you nay, but rather division. And that's why these nations can't get along, because the Lord is causing that division. He's giving division on earth, not peace. Peace will come after World War III, after the nuclear annihilation of America and the cleansing through nuclear fire of the land of Israel and the kingdom of heaven being established. That's when there will be peace on earth, when the Israelites are in rulership. Until then, there's going to continue to be violence and war and chaos and death and suffering and many great miseries. And there is no stopping this. These simple-minded people think that, these Edomites like Trump, can bring peace. And it's like, no, the Lord put Edomites like Trump in power to bring forth more chaos and more destruction. Psalm 79:6, pour out thy wrath upon the heathen that have not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name. And that's what the Lord is doing. With the fires, with the earthquakes, with the storms and tempests, with the famines, with the mass power outages, with the civil wars. The Lord is pouring out his wrath upon these heathens. And with this current war that's happening, with the US, Israel, and Iran, and more so now with Israel and Lebanon, it's just a lot of violence. A lot of death and destruction is happening over there. And that's the wrath of the Lord being brought upon those people. And it's only going to get a whole lot worse. And more people are going to die, and there's going to be more destruction. And the global economy is going to continue to suffer. And these other major world powers that have been trying to stay out of this war are going to be forced into it, because things are going to get too stressful. And they're going to be like, well, the only way for this war to end is we're going to have to get involved, because, it's going to turn into a desperate times call for desperate measures type situation. And once the rest of these major world powers get involved, that's when the Lord is going to allow all hell to break loose. And that's when it's going to actually turn into a full-fledged world war. And not too long after that, America and Israel are going to be cleansed with nuclear fire. So, we are in the last days. And the clock is ticking, and Esau, the so-called white man, is running out of time. Like it says in Job 14:5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Esau's time is almost up. And once his time is up, he's going down. The so-called white man, the so-called white woman, and their wicked children, they're all going down. And they're never going to rise again. They're going to be put in slavery under the Israelites, who will primarily make up the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans for 1,000 years. And then all of these Edomites are going to be rounded up and wiped off the face of the earth, never to be seen again. That is how their story is going to end. There is no happy ending for them. There is no riding off into the sunset. These Edomites have to pay for all the wickedness that they have done and continue to do. These Edomites still sit here and talk about how, they have nothing to do with what their ancestors did in the past. Meanwhile, they're doing the same wickedness today. Like the scriptures say, there's no new thing under the sun. The same devil from yesterday is the same devil today. and he'll be the same devil tomorrow. The scriptures say that the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. Esau, the so-called white man, is the wicked. Everything they touch, they destroy. They have to be removed out of power. Otherwise, no flesh would be saved. All people would die. All animals, all insects, all plant life, everything and everyone would cease to exist if these Edomites stay in power. Because all they know how to do is destroy. All they know how to do is bring death. And so the Lord has to wipe them out before they wipe out everybody else, including themselves. And the Lord is going to wipe them out via war. Well, he's going to bring them down via war. And then, like I said, after they serve their slavery, then they're going to be wiped out. They're going to be cleansed off the face of the earth. And the world will finally be at peace. And we are not too far off from that happening. So for all you sincere brothers and sisters, just stay strong, keep your head up, stay prayed up, and just continue to fervently and diligently serve Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Because the downfall of our enemies is closer than we think it is. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakakodash, the Wadi Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere Akwath. And shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, shalom.